guys. This is Madam, and I'm coming back to you again. This is from Bossip and the Bossip staff, and the article is by HIPHOPOBAMA. Um, this is an update to Christian Cooper. Christian Cooper is a photographer that currently lives in New York City, and he was harassed for telling someone, a Karen, to do the right thing in Central Park while she was walking her dog. It says Central Park Karen Amy Cooper said she had no choice but to call the police on black bird watcher Christian Cooper. Okay? So the article starts off by saying, if we haven't already adopted Karen as the community standard for a terrible white woman, there is no doubt in our minds that Amy Cooper would serve as a malevolent mayonnaise representative. For those who don't know or recall, Amy Cooper is the white woman who played the victim in the Central Park when a black man, Christian Cooper, was addressing her about her unleashed dog. Cooper infamously said she was going to call the police and tell them that a black man was threatening her, which was all caught on camera. I actually did a story about it. Then she just did that. Subsequently, Cooper lost her job, was arrested, and became one of the most notorious Karens of all time. This week, Cooper appears on New York Times writer Barbara Weiss podcast, Honestly, where, according to NBC News, she recounted the incident and tried to explain why she did what she did. We don't really need her explanation because we know exactly why she did it, but we digress. In the statement, it says he's holding these dog treats in his hand and a bike helmet in the other hand. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this guy going to lure my dog over and try to hit him with the bike helmet? She told podcaster Kay Foster. And if I ended up over there, I'm going to get hit by the bike helmet. Why would you see a person with dog treats in one hand and a helmet in another hand and assume that this person is going to attack your dog just for no reason? I mean, normally, you know, there are some incidents where people mentally ill or having a crisis, a mental crisis, have done things of this nature and so forth and so on. But why would you think specifically that this man, Mr. Cooper, would have that in his mind? Anyway, the article goes on to say she really fixed her fact to suggest that a bike helmet was a weapon of war. Listen to the mess for yourself directly from the horse's mouth. And I'm going to take this time right now to play a small clip, not the whole thing, just a snippet of it, just so you can get an idea of the foolishness and the shenanigans and the sheer gall of this Karen. So give me a minute, let me do that for you. Let me cue it up.
I feel like it's important to give you a chance to respond to what many people really see as the embodiment of your wrongdoing here. When you were having this encounter with Christian, at some point, after asking him not to photograph you, not to videotape you or record you, you said to him, I'm going to tell them, referring to the police, that an African American man is threatening me. Why why did you say African American man in that context?
Sure. And, I think to understand that question is to really think about this in the broader context of what had already transpired at this point. I was in a situation, I was a woman, I was alone in a park. I had been threatened multiple times at this point. My dog was trying to be lured away from me. And, to the same extent, if it had been a white man, I would have said, there's a white man threatening me. If it had been a white woman, I would have said, a white woman is threatening me. It was just a descriptive term.
And during the call, you similarly mentioned race a couple of times. Can you describe sort of what you were thinking in that context and why you might have done it then?
So, once again, it was that same descriptive phrase. I think, the initial time I say it, it's something like a man who's African American with a bike helmet. And then I think she's cutting me off, saying, I can't hear you, repeat yourself. And I'm just condensing it down so it becomes from a man who's African American to an African American man.
You're struggling to be heard here. You're not, emphasizing
Exactly.
Race in this context.
So, people think I'm getting more and more hysterical, which I am, but not because of him, but because I'm on with this operator who is basically repeating over and over again, I can't hear you, which is, an absolutely terrifying situation when you're calling for help and someone's saying they can't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of her explanation?
I can't know.
Yeah.
And it.
Okay, if you want to go check that out, I will link the description in the I will link the actual conversation in the podcast. It is with Bart Weiss, and the name of it is called Honestly. If you would like to go and check that out, I will have the link in the description for you. All right. So, continuing on with the article, lastly, it says this whole interview flies in the face of comments she made following the controversy, where she apologized and explained that she didn't fully understand the position that she put Christian in. Surprise, surprise, a white woman backtracking in BS. Color us shocked. Okay, so once again, if you want to watch that or listen to it, you can go over and check out Bart Weiss, and the name of the show is called Honesty. So, my opinions on this is, um, one, I did a video on this. This was, I believe, earlier this year, and to judge by the video, it was several things that set wrong with me when I actually did this video. One was the fact that you cannot be black and walking, taking pictures of birds in Central Park. That's one. Two, the sheer animal abuse that took place in said video. You can also go check that out as well. Where she's on the phone screaming at the top of her lungs, and she's holding the leash in such a way which was cutting off the circulation of this poor animal. I really do feel terrible for this animal and Mr. Cooper as well. It seems that her abuse, even though it was not physical towards Mr. Cooper, she definitely utilized different forms. Um, there was no reason for this woman to take it, and she says, "Oh, well, I have been threatened on multiple occasions." Okay, so if you've been threatened on multiple occasions, who were you being threatened by on multiple occasions? And if you are in fact being threatened by on multiple occasions, and you're in Central Park, and you're in a park per se, not any specific park, why would you walk alone if you feel threatened? See, all of her answers that she's making, to me, it really doesn't register as credible, or it wouldn't register me as it would suffice for me. Because, for the simple fact, if a person is being threatened, first of all, you didn't name a specific person or at least try to explain what the situation was behind feeling threatened. Only thing she said, which was very vague, I've been had multiple threats, and that's also to further suggest that Mr. Cooper may have been one of the people or the person that was threatening her at the time, even though there is no sufficient evidence to support this as him being in any form or fashion the aggressor in the situation. Um, Literally, if a person is just saying, hey, we have the leash laws in Central Park, you cannot have your animal off of a leash. If I'm wrong, all my New York people, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? About that. How many people follow it is not, relevant to the fact, but just to the question that I asked. You know, is there not a leash law that says that animals have to be on leashes while being walked in said park? And we'll take it from there. But for the most part, I just think it was a weak attempt. She did lose a couple of things. She lost her job. I think she had an issue with people called animal control on her. Um, if I'm not mistaken, and a whole bunch of other things that follow. And I think that this is her weak attempt of trying to save face. She doesn't want to be considered as a fucking bad person. Well, if you don't want to be considered as a bad person, then what you should do, or what I would suggest to you, is treat people how you want to be treated. Okay? Every person that is black or colored or multiracial is not the threat. Okay? And then she goes on to if it had been a